My name is Pelle Bo. This is the Radio Vagabond podcast, and I've arrived to Bratislava. That's the capital of Slovakia, a country in the EU stuck between Austria, the Czech Republic, Ukraine, and Hungary. Thank you. In fact, Bratislava has borders to both Austria and Hungary, and is the largest city in the country.
Okay, man. Thanks. Take care. Yeah, you too. Bye.
But with a population of about 450,000, it's not that big. I went by train from Budapest, and then it was just a short Uber ride to the hostel. Yes, for the first time, I've decided to try staying at a hostel. It's a place called Patio Hostel, and the patio thing is a small garden in between buildings with lights at nights and people hanging out with cheap beer from the basement. And I got to meet a lot of the people staying here. Like Perry from California. He's traveled the world for the last 5.5 years with his guitar. Sometimes he plays and sings on street corners to make a little cash for the next hostel and a bus ticket. But we were privileged to get a private concert in the patio just before he left Bratislava.
Just for shorty bang bang to look your way. Like the way you work it, drunk tight all day, every day. Blowing my mind, maybe in time, baby I can get you in my ride. Like the way you work it, no diggity, I got to bang it up, girl. Like the way you work it, no diggity, I got to bang it up. Like the way you work it, no diggity, I got to bang it up, girl. Like the way you work it, no diggity, I got to bang it up. I'm gonna bap some tags.
I also met Dries Huey.
I'm Dries Huey.
And Thijs de Vriend.
Thijs de Vriend.
Thijs de Vriend.
Can you spell that for me? D-R-I-E-S-G-O-U-W-Y.
Two Belgian guys with some very tricky names.
E-H-I-J-S-D-E-V-R-I-E-N-D-T.
Wow. You're staying at this hostel. Have you stayed at many hostels?
This is the first time for us staying in a hostel.
This is my first time, and I kind of like it. What do you think?
I think it's great, personally.
Yeah. It's great to meet new people. Like the social interaction. It's a fast way to learn new people.
Normally, I stay at Airbnbs and couchsurfing, but I like to have a private room, and you don't get that in a hostel.
It's really bad if there's one guy who's snoring like loudly. In our case, we were with 5 people in a room of 6, and one guy just doesn't stop snoring. So we've been here for 3 nights, and we didn't have much sleep because of this.
I think a lot of it is due to the partying.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, also that.
Tell me a little bit about this place, because we're in patio, and it's even the name.
I think it's good. Everything is tidy. Didn't have any problems at all.
Yeah, they're really friendly. Like if you can just ask for a towel or something, or earplugs, and they will give it to you.
And the restrooms are okay.
Clean.
A bit small, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm a big man.
Maybe that's why.
So it's not your last time at a hostel?
No, we're gonna do this a lot more because it's a really good experience for us.
And this is my roommates, Max and Rachel. Thank you for not snoring.
That's all right. Well, I've been known to snore, but somehow I managed to sleep on my front. I think I only save snoring for when I'm sharing a bed with Rachel, and she will, spend the entire night hitting me, trying to roll me over.
Yeah, essentially.
But yeah, thank you for not snoring as well.
Yeah. And you have a terrible cough at the moment.
I do. I really feel bad. I feel like that's the worst part about sharing a room with people in hostels when you're sick, because you just feel so shitty and you just want to go home. Yeah. You want to be home and you're in bed, and then you have a coughing fit at 4 a.m. and you wake up all of your roommates, and then I always just feel so guilty. I really do.
It didn't bother me at all. I can sleep with a truck running over my head.
Well, I'm glad I didn't wake you up at least.
But the whole thing about hostels, you being a young couple, I would imagine that you would like to have a room for yourself once in a while.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's just kind of part of traveling, isn't it? You kind of got to get the big hostel room experience to properly travel. I mean, like, yeah, we would prefer our own room, mostly for like privacy, not to, you know,
Not for other reasons.
not for other reasons, but like, yeah, it's not too bad. Like, you can deal with it. I mean, obviously, I feel like anyone kind of wants a bit of privacy when they're traveling, especially if you're exhausted or sick like me. But
But you're from Australia, and this is your big European trip. Where's it taken you so far?
Well, we had this massive plan before we even left, and the plan changed.
I know what it's like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the plan changed about 5 times, but so far, I mean, we started off, I've got family in Spain, we started off there, and then went to Ireland, where Rachel's family all are, and then went to England, to UK for a bit, stayed with my grumpy uncle, who told us to get out after a few weeks because he was getting sick of us sitting around. So then we went to Belgium, which we never planned to go to, then the Netherlands, which you'd never planned to go to, Germany, then Austria, and now to Slovakia, which we never even thought of coming to Slovakia, but we've really liked Bratislava. It's been lovely.
Yeah.
And then to the Czech Republic today.
And then you're also going to Brasso, where I was.
Yeah, well, we want to go to Brasso, yeah. So I think we should definitely go there as opposed to going to... This is a fight we've had.
And now you're looking at Rachel. Rachel, are you going to Brasso?
well, where he goes, I have to go. So
Well, that's it. He said it was the other way yesterday.
Yeah.
usually, yeah, but I think it's time he gets a few.
Yeah, but you should go. It's a beautiful, sort of small city. So,
I think that's kind of the good thing about traveling, though, especially when you haven't planned anything, is that you hear from people places where they were like, oh, you have to go here. And then you just go because it's easy. You're not confined to like a specific timeline, or really the only thing you've got to worry about is money and if you have a good bed to sleep in, and everything else is easy and fine.
Yeah. Like when I was in Kiev, in Ukraine, it was my plan to go to Poland, and then I had a friend who said, "Oh, you gotta go to Moldova." I said, "But Moldova, it's not on my list. It is now." So then I went.
Yeah,
and I had a great time.
Yeah, it's just so easy to kind of, especially in Europe as well. You can just literally hop on a train and you're in a new country within like 40 minutes, an hour. Like,
It's not like that in Australia.
no, and you travel an hour in Sydney and you're still in Sydney. Like, it takes like 8 hours to get from one side of Australia to the other by plane. So,
And there's not there's any cultural difference or anything. That's the one thing I dislike about, well, there are a few things I dislike about Australia, but, you know, in our sun-kissed homeland, you know, it's not really, you will travel for 8 hours by plane from Sydney to Perth. You'll get to Perth, they'll have the same accent, speak the same language. Everybody pretty much looks the same. The only difference is I think Perth has got slightly less trees than Sydney, but that's about the only difference you'll find. So, but in Europe, you travel for, you know, Jesus, an hour, you know, on a train from here, you're in, you know, Vienna, you know, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, and speak a different language, you know, so
different customs.
Different customs, yeah.
The whole hostel experience. You've stayed at a couple of hostels.
Yeah, we stayed in a lot.
Yeah, and this is my first time in a hostel, and I was a little bit worried about the whole dorm room thing, sharing a room, but I wanted it mostly to meet people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I particularly was a little bit nervous about having to share rooms with, like, you know, because some dorms only offer some hostels only offer big dorms, so having to share a room with, you know, 14 other people or something,
And that can be a nightmare.
it's an absolute nightmare. We had that in Amsterdam, and I didn't sleep all night because people were just coming in and out all night, and then alarms would start going off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you just have to just sit there and just try and be as quiet as possible, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was like a nerve-wracking thing at first, like, because especially at home, you know, you're used to having your own space and your own bed. You don't have to worry about waking people up or people waking you up. But it is like the best way to meet people. It really is. Like,
We've met so many people in this hostel. I think this hostel's been the one. Obviously, we met you. We met our other roommate. But then we also met all the other Australians as well last night. I mean,
There's a lot of Australians here.
Yeah, it's funny.
we're everywhere.
We stayed in a hostel in Berlin, which is exactly the same. It was like 80%, I think, of the people staying there were Aussies, and it was great for us because we'd been sort of starved of company of our fellow countrymen for a bit. But, you know, yeah, it's weird.
So there was a lot of hello mate going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. All right, yeah.
All right.
That was great though. Yeah, we enjoyed that. But, you know, I think definitely it's nice to sort of the whole social bit is great. But I would say that, you know, I mean, staying in a hostel and having your own room is great, which is what we did in Berlin. We had our own room, but, you know, then we still... Cause
Isn't it about the same price as an Airbnb then?
yes, depends where you go, sort of, yeah. I don't really, you know, Rachel does all the booking, so I never really know.
Yeah, he has no idea. He's absolutely no idea. No, I mean, like, Airbnb kind of depends what you get. Like, I would prefer to have a whole apartment than a room because it means you can cook, you know, you can... Mainly, I would just do it because I would rather cook than have to go eat out every night. But it's, I mean, like, it kind of depends what hostel you go to as well because, you know, sometimes private rooms end up being slightly cheaper than 2 beds in a dorm. But yeah, it just depends where you go. But I think the downside to getting a private room is that it is harder to meet people because you are confined to your own space. You don't have to meet people in your dorm.
Yeah. Another thing that I was a bit worried about is, am I going to be the oldest one in the place? And I probably am. Do you think that's a thing, that it's only young people like yourself in the 20s that go in hostels?
No, definitely not. I mean, we've had quite a lot of older people. We had in Salzburg, we had I don't know where she was from. This woman, she was probably about 60 odd, would you say? Yeah. But no, you're definitely, you know, we've seen a few other older people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like most people think that hostels are just, I mean, they're called youth hostels, and most people think, you know, it's just for people who are doing like a gap year or they're traveling in their 20s and 30s and stuff. But like, honestly, like, anyone can do it. And
some of them have an age restriction.
Some of them do.
Up till 40.
Yeah, some of them do, and a lot of them actually say if you have young kids, like, you have to get a private room. You can't be staying in dorms and stuff, which I understand. Yeah. But like, to be honest, I just think mainly you wouldn't see a lot of like older people in hostels is because they probably have the money to go spend it on like a nice hotel. We definitely don't, but
not anymore.
Not anymore, anyway. Yeah, but I mean, it's for everyone. I think that's just what's so easy about it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and hope to see you when I get to Australia.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. You'll always be welcome.
Max and Rachel weren't the only Australians. I also got to know their fellow Aussie, Jason.
My name's Jason and I'm from Australia.
From
Pretty Pine.
He told me that he comes from a small place north of Melbourne called Pretty Pine. I never heard of it, so when I asked him how many people live in Pretty Pine, he said, well, it's not really a town, it's more like a pub.
Pretty Pine.
Pretty Pine.
Yeah, you told me all about it yesterday. It's literally what I described as in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it is. It's about 3.5 hours north of Melbourne. Yeah, there's not much out there.
Oh, but a pub.
Just a pub. Just a pub.
It's not a town, it's a pub.
Just a pub.
Yeah, and 2 days ago, you and your brother and your father bought a farm?
Yeah, yep. So I'll go back there and I'll go farming, yeah. Yep, around the area, yeah.
So you're traveling Europe with a couple of friends?
Yep, traveling with 2 other friends at the moment. There was another. She's in Exeter in London at the moment, and then we're going to meet up in Poland in 5 days' time.
Yeah. Like in 20 seconds, where have you been so far?
Okay, I've been to Turkey, Greece, Italy, Spain, France, Croatia, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Netherlands, Austria, Slovenia, Slovakia. That's about all I can think of.
Yeah. Wow. And tell me about the whole hostel experience.
Most of them have been awesome. You just meet so many different people from different countries and just have a beer with them. It's crazy.
That's the good thing about it.
Yeah, that's the best thing. Yeah. And it's cheap.
You told me yesterday that you stayed in a dorm room from hell.
Yeah. When we were in London, there were 3-level bunks and very squashy, and the people in the room were crazy. So it was not a pleasant experience.
So if you should give an advice to me when I'm trying to book hostel rooms, it's to avoid the big dorm rooms?
Yeah, I've had good times in like 18-bed before. It's just the hostel itself. You got to check out the reviews, make sure people say good things about it, and generally it shouldn't be too bad if the reviews are good.
Mm. Yeah. What do you feel about Bratislava?
Bratislava, I think it's awesome. It's cheap, really nice people, and it's not too complex. Like everyone seems relaxed and chilled out. It's good. Good vibe.
Yeah. So I plan to come to Pretty Pine.
Yeah, Pretty Pine, have a beer at the Pretty Pine pub.
On my last day in Bratislava, I got to meet one of the locals in a noisy mall in the outskirts of the city. His name is Roman Flebo.
I spent all my life in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. I was born here in 1968. It means that 48 years I spending all my life here. But under my 15 years, I was living in suburbia in Bratislava, about 7 kilometers from the city center.
Okay. And being 48 years old, you can remember the old Soviet times.
Yeah, it was really strange, and now it looks for me like a ridiculous. But in this age, when I was, for example, 21, when it was 1989, the Velvet Revolution, and the communist system fell down. But I was a DJ, for example, in 1985 in the clubs, and it was a really strange for all Western European citizens because, for example, me as a DJ, I was playing in the best club in Bratislava, but for example, I cannot play more than 20% from Western or American music. I have to play 80% music from Czechoslovakia or from Soviet Union or from other communist countries like Hungary, Romania, DDR. But if I remember well, no one from DJ is playing only 20% American music, and we are cheating the control, because the control people was the older communist 65 years old from World War II soldiers. And they are looking at me, and when I saw these people, I start to play instrumental music, and I asked, they are not singing in English. This is the band from Russia, and it was cheating because it was British bands, and Americans band, and I was always cheating these people. I playing Soviet Union bands.
Yeah, and this guy, Michael Jackson, his name is Mikhail, and he's from Moscow.
Something like this, because these people was completely stupid, but only going and makes trouble for us as a DJs.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that you also had a bar.
Yeah, I was owner of the one bar, but it was in early 90s. It was when communist system was down and it was the new democracy. And I was owner of one big bar, was a bar for 800 people, and was very crowded every Friday and Saturday and very successful. But it was also the very tough times, because as I told you, it was in the early 90s. And in this time, we have a lot of problems with the Russians mafia. These people are going to my bar with the guns, and it's true, and asking money for security.
Seriously, they came to you with a gun?
Yeah, going with the gun and tell me, okay, from first they was like a friends and told you, okay, we can give you security, but you have to pay for me 5,000 euro, for example, per month. But if you are tell, no, I don't have money for this, immediately they are changed on the enemies and make troubles for you, and especially broken your bar and make really problems. It was my first experience from 1994 when I a little bit complaining and I say, no, I don't have money because I don't want to pay it. It was a lot of money for the beginning on the bar. But the next day, during the midnight, going 20 incredible dangerous looking people from Russian language and make incredible troubles for me and for my guests in my bar. And
what kind of troubles?
They're fighting people. Yeah, it was terrible. And I tried to call police, but the police was corrupted by these mafia leaders, and I have no possibilities, only to pay.
When I was in Kiev in Ukraine, and also when I was in Macedonia and also in Romania and Bulgaria, I heard about corruption a little bit when I came to Serbia, and I had the feeling that the more I was getting north and here into Slovakia, the whole corruption thing is not here. But you tell me it's not that way.
Yeah, still is a place for corruption. The first important thing when you always need the money in Slovakia is when you have problem with the health, because healthcare is a weakness part of this region, by my opinion. It means if you want to have a good surgery, if you have need surgery, or if you need some good doctors, you have to pay extra money to the pocket to this doctor, and now then you can take the better care.
So tell me, if I, as a Slovakian, was committed to the hospital and a doctor came to see me, it would be a good idea to just slip some money into his pockets?
No. For example, when you have some simple problem, you have a flu, no, it's not place for corruption. But for example, I have a 82 years old father, and he is really sick. And now he was, for example, 3 weeks in the hospital because he needed really care. And in that reason, when I don't want to be, my father was died there and take a really good care for cover his conditions, I need to pay almost everybody in this hospital.
And you did?
Yeah, of course. I also the nurses. Nurses I only have a gifts because I working as a radio director, and from that reason I have a lot of tickets for concerts and stuff like that. To all nurses I give this, and to the doctors, to his room doctors, and to the number one doctor in this neurological care, I give extra money, about 350 euros.
And it's totally natural. They just say, "Oh, thank you."
No.
Or do they object and say, "No, it's not necessary"?
Yeah, there's because in last 20 years we have maximum 5 examples to the doctors going to the jail for this.
Yeah.
But this is 5 doctors from this incredible thousands and thousands examples.
Yeah. When the whole freedom came, it must have been so different. Now you could all of a sudden travel to the West and play Western music and do all kinds of things. How did the people of Slovakia handle that?
I think I was a student in the university. I was really on the place in the November 17 in 1989 when everything's happened. I was the leader of the student gangs. We are fighting for the freedom because I was a DJ. I was completely disappointed living in the communist system. And everybody looking forward to the change. And from the first years, as you told, we can travel, we can play Western music. We have McDonald's in the city and everything. Yeah, everybody was happy. The situation now, the young people are still happy, but the older ones, 60 plus people, and there's a lot of people, are a little bit disappointed because in socialist system, the people have some kind of life standard, have some, some I don't know how to say, when governments guaranteed for you some support, and now when we have this system, a lot of older people have problems, for example, find a job and stuff like this. We have much more unemployed people than we have during the communist system, because, for example, during the communist system, everybody must have a work. It was a rule.
So they missed the old times.
Yeah, the old times miss the older people.
And in 3 days, there's a big European summit here. All the leaders of the EU are coming right here to Bratislava.
Yeah, it's true. It will be Friday. All the people are leaving from the city because we'll be 26 leaders from the European Union. Everything will be blocked. Yeah, school will be closed and everything. For example, all my friends are running from the town, including me.
Okay, out of this place.
Yeah, everybody wants to going out of this.
So to sum it up, Bratislava, what kind of city is it right now? And if you should be the tourist ambassador of Bratislava, what should we tell people? Should they come here?
I'm honestly proud of the city. This city is not too big, not too small. Living here about 500,000 people. Almost everything in the city center is in walking distance. And the people, by my opinion, are still very friendly, very open-hearted, and I'm really proud because this is my home, and when I compare all the other cities, and I visit a lot of cities in Europe and also in the US and Canada, Bratislava is for me the best city.
Yeah. And also they call it Partyslava.
Yeah, it's true. We have a nickname, Partyslava, because we have, for example, on the New Year's, We have here incredible party where is 150,000 people dancing in the streets from the Austria, from the Czechs, from the Hungary, from the all neighborhoods are going here, and we have a big party.
I'm at the hostel and I'm about to check out, and I've been packing for an hour now, and I am so confused. Let me just explain. I travel with way too much stuff. I know that now after being on the road for a little more than 2 months. I travel with a huge suitcase, the biggest Samsonite suitcase I could find. And obviously if I fill that up with stuff, it's gonna weigh like 35 kilos. I can easily get it up to that. So what I did when I left Denmark was to take all the small, heavy stuff like cameras and lenses and stuff and put that into my backpack, and then just get the suitcase down to 20 kilos, which is the normal allowed weight on a flight. And the last 3 weeks I haven't been flying. I've been going on bus and train, so it wasn't a problem with the weight. So I just filled as much as I could into the suitcase, and the whole thing was easy. I had a heavy suitcase, but yeah, it was more easy that way. Now I'm flying, so I did what I normally do. I get the suitcase down to 20 kilos, which was hard. I don't know why, but I managed to get it down to 21. I hope they don't complain. And then of course I needed to put the rest of the stuff into my backpack, which is carry-on size, and my computer bag. And now my backpack is so full that I don't know if the zipper's gonna hold, and my computer bag, it looks like a football. What the hell is going on? Has everything grown in weight and size? I don't know what's going on? Anyway, this only goes to prove what so many travelers have told me along the way. Palle, you travel with way too much stuff. I know. So now I'm going to Denmark for a few days to speak at a radio conference and do some other work. And then I'm gonna dump my big suitcase. Yep, I'm only gonna travel with my backpack and my computer bag. That means no more checking in at airports, and I'm gonna travel much more light, and it's gonna be so much easier. But how do I get it down to that size? I really need to make some choices. Anyway, I'm about to leave this wonderful hostel. This is my first time at a hostel, like I said before, and it's been super great. This room I'm in, I was a little bit worried going into it. The whole idea about sleeping in the room with other people and not having my private space, but it's been really no problem. It seems as if I'm the only one that stays at a hostel for 5 days. In this room with 4 beds, there's been, well, the first night there were these 2 great, nice African guys with big smiles and super white teeth. And when I came into the room, they said, "Oh, we were waiting for when we were going to get some roommates." And I looked at these 2 young guys and said, "Yeah, I know what you were hoping. You were hoping for 2 blonde girls, and then you get the old bald Danish guy." And they were laughing and saying, "Yeah, exactly." Well, then the next night there were 3 Australians. They stayed for 2 nights. And then there were a young German couple, and this night there's been 3 Turkish guys, and everybody's been super nice. And the whole idea about staying at a hostel is absolutely something I'd do again. Yeah, I am one of the oldest, and that was also one of my worries. Am I going to feel too old? Well, I don't, and I don't think that any of the others have looked at me and said, "Well, he's too old to be here." No, not at all. Anyway, I'm about to go to Denmark for a few days, and then I'm gonna speak at a radio conference, see my family, dump the suitcase, and then off to the next stop, which is gonna be Abu Dhabi. My name is Palle, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.